In 2021, Cedric Mullins went 30-30. Will Mullins be ever able to reach that peak again, though? We'll discuss that and more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my brother, my co-host, Matthew Ane.
Yo.
You can find us on all social media platforms and podcasting apps. Just search for Locked On Fantasy Baseball, and we'll be there. Please be sure to leave a 5-star rating on Apple, Spotify, wherever you may listen. And if you write a little review, that goes a long way as well. But if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to hit the subscribe button, throw us a like, and comment as well, because we love to talk fantasy baseball with you. And guys, if you're a fan of us, if you're a new listener, if you want to help us out, Matt and I are getting super close to the 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. So we just please ask if you can share this podcast with a friend or two or three, or somebody just likes baseball, so somebody that's also a fantasy baseball fanatic. It goes a long way to help us out here and keep the show running. But with that being said, this episode is brought to you by the Ultimate Baseball GM app. Download the Ultimate Baseball GM app today and experience what it's like to be an MLB GM. Use the promo code Locked On for when you download the app and get 100% free bonus. All right, guys. So on today's episode, Matt and I are continuing our outfielder preview episodes here. We're going to finish off some of the top bigger names, and then we're going to do a quick hit on some of the later round targets at the outfield position. With that being said, my brother, head off with our next name here.
All right, let's not bury the lead. Of course, I say this every episode. Let's talk about Mr. Cedric Mullins. Cedric, kind of had a little bit of in terms of a bust year, in terms of, everybody was kind of expecting what he did in 2021. Maybe he finally, broke out at his age 27 season and kind of said, hey, this is the new me, but it seemed to just be an outlier. And, I'm really wondering if he's going to return to it, because quite honestly, that was a crazy year. I didn't see it coming at all. I had him really low on my draft boards. Not low, but lower than what you should have. And boom, here he is. So in 2021, that crazy year, he had 602 at bats, 91 runs, 37 doubles, which is really ridiculous. 5 triples, 30 home runs, 59 ribbies, 30 stolen bases, of course, and batted 291. And this year was, kind of opposite. 89 runs, 32 doubles, not far off. Four triples, not far off, but 16 home runs, 64 ribbies, 34 stolen bases, which was really nice. But he batted 258. To be honest, 2021 was an outlier, not just for home runs, but it was also an outlier for batting average. In 2018 he hit 235. 2019 really don't count. It was 64 at bats. 2020 in that shortened season, he had 271. So, Mullins really just doesn't appear to be that batting average kind of guy where he's going to be that 290 guy, which also I think which boosted his home run things. And plus that was pretty much the juice ball year too. So, for me, I'm not going to be expecting the home runs to be there this year. Maybe he can be more like a 20-30 guy, because if any of those triples or doubles make their way just a hair over the further, they're probably over the fence, and that could bring him up 4 home runs, and that brings him to 20-30. Cedric Mullins is a great guy to have, especially just in general, one, for outfield being so bad, but two, just because of the fact that he's going to get you 30 stolen bases, if not more. I have him as my 15th outfielder. He's going as the number 11th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. No, I lied. He's going as 13. So, Cedric Mullins, still a great pick. I still think, where he's going is not outrageous, but, you know, at the same time, I'm not just like leaping in bounds and trying to reach for him or anything of this sort just because of the fact that I don't think those home runs are going to be there.
Yeah, man, great coverage on Cedric Mullins. I just want to say I have him ranked 15th as well. I think he's going to be leading off for Baltimore, so the Baltimore team's going to be a little bit improved. I still think Cedric Mullins has a great year. 13, a little bit high. I do have him ranked at 15, so it's fairly close, but Cedric Mullins isn't somebody I'm actively targeting. Let's move on to the next name here, and that is Dalton Varsho. And the really sneaky thing with Varsho is that he's catcher eligible, and that's what's really going to give him that big boost here. So, you're not really going to take him at outfield. You're going to take him as your catcher. And he's going to play pretty much every day. He played 151 games last year, 531 at-bats, 79 runs, 23 doubles, 27 bombs, 74 RBI, 16 steals, and he hit 235. He's a career 234 hitter, over 916 at-bats, so I don't think that batting average is coming up. But he's going to contribute in all four of the categories, especially being in that Toronto lineup with Vladdy and Bichette and Springer and the rest of the crew over there. I like Dalton Varsho. At catcher, at outfield, I have him ranked at 25. I will throw out where I have him ranked at catcher as well. At catcher, I have him as my number 5 catcher right now, which might be shaking around a little bit. But the value is definitely there for Dalton Varsho this year on your fantasy teams.
Yes, sir. Dom said catcher. That's really where I'm drafting him for is my catcher. I'm not really looking for him to be my outfielder. In my opinion, he doesn't exist there. But let's move on here to our next name here. That's Mr. Adolis Garcia. Somebody that it's kind of been interesting, and somebody we've taken in a mock draft or two, and I really like him. He has a lot of upside, and we'll see what he could do this year. Last year, he had a great year. It was 605 at bats. He had 88 runs, 27 home runs, 101 ribbies, 25 stolen bases, and batted 250. Now that's stellar numbers. That's why he's being drafted so high. It's his second real year in the bigs, in all honesty, because 2021, he kind of got his first big time at the show, and he had a really good year that year. He did do 30-30 again. The only problem with him for me is the fact that it's the batting average. If he were ever able to get that up to like 265, 270, Adolis, the sky is the limit with him doing 30-30. And I love the team too now. They're getting a lot better with Seager being there and I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart here.
Marcus Semien.
There you go, buddy. Yeah. So, like, with those guys being there, like, Adolis is getting a real bump, and I think that team's going to really take a step forward. So I foresee Adolis taking a step forward as well. Right now, I have Adolis at I have him at 17. To be honest, I think I'm going to bump him up over Cedric Mullins after just talking about him. Now I kind of talked him up. So, by the time you look at my rankings by Friday, when I give you guys the update, he'll be at 15.
Yeah, I actually have Adolis Garcia at 16. I think it's a perfect spot for him. He's actually raking so far the spring training too. I just want to throw that out there. 10 games of spring training for Garcia. He's got 4 runs, 9 hits, a double, a triple, 2 bombs, 6 RBIs, 4 walks to 5 strikeouts, which you love to see. And he is hitting a ripe 375.
Nice.
But guys, I'm really excited by our new partner here at Locked On, and it's the sponsor of today's episode, as I previously mentioned. It is the mobile game Ultimate Baseball GM. Have you ever dreamed of being an MLB GM and managing your own professional baseball franchise? Well, guess what? Your dream has officially come true, and this game is definitely for you. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the season, and lead your team to glory. In this game, you are responsible for hiring the right coaches and staff to manage your team and their finances. You're responsible for scouting and drafting players and also managing those difficult personalities, which we know exist in the real MLB, and you get to do it in this game. You also get to navigate your franchise through free agency and all the ups and downs of a baseball season, all in this challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Baseball GM is completely free and playable offline. You can play on the go as you want, when you want. I've been absolutely hooked on this game so far, and you can play against your friends like Matt and I have been doing, and you should also be doing with your friends. Also, as I mentioned earlier, you don't even need Wi-Fi to play this game. So download it today and use our promo code. Locked On Fantasy Baseball listeners get 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo code Locked On. So be sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit probaseballgm.com, scan the code, or you can look at it in the App Store itself. That's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM, start your dynasty today. Now, guys, let's keep it moving here. We'll head on to our next outfielder, which is Teoscar Hernandez. Now, Teoscar is somebody that I've been slowly just moving up my outfielder ranks, and he might have to get another boost. Right now, I have Teoscar as my number 17 outfielder, but I could wind up seeing him moving up. The guy has a lot of upside. He moves to that Seattle lineup, which isn't that much better than Toronto, but, they have a lot of upside there. With Julio and Suarez and, the rest of the crew, that team is only getting better, in my opinion. And even let's see what Jared Kelenic does. That's another name we might get to today as well. Now, Teoscar had a little drop down from his All-Star 2021 season. He had 71 runs. He had 35 doubles. This is last year for Teoscar Hernandez, 25 bombs, 77 RBI, 6 steals, and he had 267. Now, the two prior years, Teoscar hit 296 and 289. I think that batting average could bounce back up a little bit. I think the power could get to 30 plus. The ballpark in Seattle is a little bit better of a hitter's park than the one in Toronto. I think the runs and RBIs can bounce back as well. Steals, I think 6 is around what he normally averages. The 12 might have been an outlier in 2021. But Teoscar Hernandez is a sneaky good bat. Right now, he is currently coming off the board as the number 16 outfielder, pick 66 overall. Not a bad pick for Teoscar Hernandez there.
Yeah, I like Teoscar where he's going. I don't know if I'm drafting him this year, but we'll see what's up. I have him at 21, so usually when he comes up in the draft, I've either already have 2 outfielders or he's just not the guy I'm targeting. But let's move on here. Let's talk about Mr. George Springer. George Springer's somebody that is a little interesting to me. He's been around forever, but he is getting older. Now he's going into his age 33 season, where we're starting to see some measurables go down. Like, last year we saw 25 home runs from him. The year before 22, but he didn't play a full season. But this year, in pretty much a full season, he only had 25, which is surprising since he's usually about a 30 home run, almost 40 home run guy. And on top of that, his batting average is kind of down as well. He hit 267. Actually, let me take that back. It's about on par. I apologize. Had a high in stolen bases, which is nice at 14, but I'm just not really feeling it. I mean, he had 89 runs and 76 ribbies too. So I think I'm a little worried about Springer ultimately. I hope they can bounce back because quite honestly, that Blue Jays lineup is nice and they can produce a lot of counting stats. I'm just hoping that he could be a product of it and benefit from it and hopefully not repeat what he did last year. I'm kind of like on the fence with Springer. I have Springer ranked 19. I'm not exactly sure what to do with him yet. I just haven't drafted him yet this season. I can't find a spot in my heart where I just feel good about drafting him.
Yeah, Matt. I just like that he's probably going to be leading off for this Blue Jays team. I think, the counting stats will be there. I think the runs will be there. The RBI should be decent as well. And I just want to say that I have him ranked 18th, and George Springer is not a bad pick. He's definitely not a bad pick right now, coming off the board as the 17th outfielder, pick 67. With that being said, Matt, let's move on to our next guy. And if you guys have watched any of our mock draft episodes, Matt and I love this guy, and that is Eloy Jimenez. Now, the thing with Eloy is he just has to stay healthy. He has to stop playing like a young Bryce Harper and trying to catch everything in the outfield if he's going to play out there. I've heard conflicting rumors whether he's going to actually play more outfield or he's going to, get more time at DH. I think the White Sox earlier in the offseason came out and said, oh, well, we're going to DH you more. And then Eloy came out and said, no, you're not going to DH me more. I want to be in the outfield. Now, if you've heard somebody like Giancarlo Stanton talk, he says it helps him mentally when he's in the outfield and he's not just sitting in the dugout, So I think Eloy might be on that same boat. Now, the thing is, Eloy is only going to be 26 this year, and there is a breakout year coming. I don't know if it's this year, next year. There is a year coming where Eloy is going to hit 35 home runs. He's going to bat 280 to 290. The counting stats are going to be there. He doesn't really steal, so don't bank on those. Right now, I currently have Eloy as my number 11 outfielder, so I think he has, number 1 outfielder potential, but he is currently coming off the board as the 18th outfielder, pick 70. I absolutely love getting Eloy as my second outfielder.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep this short because, Dom pretty much covered Eloy, but Eloy, I think this is the year. I think just based off of what the White Sox are saying, even though he's kind of giving pushback to it, I think they're going to find a common ground where they're able to just find where they're going to be able to keep him going throughout the season and not let him hurt himself. Let's move on here. Let's talk about Mr. Starling Marte. Marte's getting up there. I mean, my guy is, 34 years old, been good. You can't really say like Marte has been bad. And, my only concern is, when does the other shoe drop? But right now, based off of his performance, I don't think it's happening right now. And, Mets are the right team for it to help him push and keep being good. Last year across 2 teams between Miami and Oakland, he had 467 at bats, 89 runs.
Yeah, he was just with the Mets last year, though. That was the year before.
Oh, I'm sorry. I lied. Let me read that off.
You're good, brother. You're good. You're good.
So many lines. I apologize. 466 at bats, 76 runs, 24 doubles, 5 triples, 16 home runs, 18 stolen bases. And he batted it a nice clean 292. So here's the deal. I mean, he's never really been a home run guy. I mean, last time he even crept over, 20 was 2019. And then he did it again in 18. And then it was, 7 and 9 and 19, 13, 12. So like, we just know we're not going to get, 20 home runs from him. It's just not going to happen anymore. The stolen bases are down too. In 2021, he had 47. Last year, he had 18. So, like, that's another thing that, like, okay, is it dropping off? Did the Mets just not let him run last year? Is that the difference? Because, when you're on Oakland, you can do whatever the hell you want. And same thing on Miami. On the other hand, with the Mets, they're trying to win. They're trying to keep their best players on the field. He is one of their best players. So, is that the deal? So, like, it's just something to keep an eye on, like, I usually you draft Starling Marte and think you got a save steals guy pretty much locked up and you're pretty safe. I wouldn't bank on that this year. I think Starling Marte is personally, I like him. I'm drafting him at 25 for me. I think that where he's going right now is a little too rich for my blood. But I wouldn't blame you if you do and try to bank on that upside. It's just for me at this price. No, thank you on the Starling Marte F shares.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to throw out my Starling Marte rant here. He's coming off the board as number 19th outfielder, pick 72, and I'm right on board with ADP. I have Starling Marte as my number 19 outfielder as well. Let's not forget last year he was hurt, but it wasn't even really him. He had a fractured right middle finger, which caused him to miss some time. He played 118 games, and he had the 18 steals, 16 bombs. So if you give him 140, 115 games, I could see him getting back closer to 2020. He's still got pretty good sprint speed for his older age. He's hit a career 290 hitter over 4,800 at bats, so that's what he does at this point. And then he's projected to hit second in that Mets lineup, that stacked Mets lineup. He has Lindor, Alonso, McNeil behind him. He has Nimmo ahead of him. So I think the counting stats could be great. You could see a 5-tool guy here with Starling Marte. So the upside is there. Like I said, I'm currently taking him as my 19th outfielder. If you get him as your outfielder number 2, I think you're walking away pretty happy.
Yeah. And I'm going to just get one last breath on it, and then I'm going to call it. The only thing is I feel is with this draft price, he's being drafted at his possible ceiling in his old age. So that's kind of where like my hesitance comes. Because if he repeats something like this or doesn't get those 150 at bats, then you're stuck in this category and you wasted a pick, in my opinion, at that high of a price, not because the player's bad. But, before we move on here, here at Locked On, we're super excited about our new sports betting partner, FanDuel. It's the midway point of the NBA season, and it's the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from money lines, points scored, and threes drained. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a bigger payout at the same game parlay. So don't miss your chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets back when you go to FanDuel.com/locked-on. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. So, Dom, take this next guy because I know you really like him. So it looks like Dom lost his audio here. Until he figures that one out, still got nothing there, buddy. I will talk about Mr. Corbin Carroll, I guess, in the meantime, while he works that out. Just give me a holler when you do, Dom. So Mr. Corbin Carroll is one of the, sexy picks this year, I would say, that, he's one of those really interesting prospects that are, getting his first full season and, pretty much 1-2 on everybody's prospect rankings, and with good reason. I mean, he has had a great career in the minors, and I think that what he's going to do in the bigs this year is going to be really great. Even in his little stint last year in the bigs, he did do a good job. In 104 at bats, he had 13 runs, 9 doubles, 2 triples, 4 home runs, 14 ribbies, 2 stolen bases, and batted .260. And the funny part is, I think the 260 is just low because I think he's going to adjust to the bigs and he's going to go back to what he was doing in the minors, which is, somewhere in the close to 300 because he was batting about 307 in 2022 before he got the cup of coffee. It's crazy too because he's actually the fastest person in the MLB in terms of sprint speed and things like that. So he's going to be able to steal you a boatload of stolen bases because in the minors he did 31. He does have power too because in 362 at bats he did have 24 home runs as well. So he's a power speed combo. He's also, if you play in an OPS league, he has a 1036 OPS. So like that's another great bonus for Corbin Carroll. I think that he is going to be great this year. Let's go Corbin Carroll. I'm totally about it. And just to let you know where I have him, I have Mr. Corbin Carroll at 23. So I guess we'll just keep moving on. It seems like Dom can't get his mic to go. We're going to talk about Mr. Bryan Reynolds. Bryan Reynolds is somebody I really hope that gets traded this year. The only reason why is because I'm just not really a big fan of the Pirates. It's pretty much, how do I put this? The fantasy graveyard for stats. I mean, I'm not saying Bryan Reynolds, the player, is bad. I'm just saying his fantasy outlook does not look as great. And it's only because of what's around him. It's just him and O'Neal Cruz. So it's just one of those things where I just would feel better if he was on another team. And I like the rumors that he might get traded to the Yankees and not being a homer. Just his fantasy value would be significantly higher. But let's read off what he did last year. In 2022, he had 542 at-bats. He had 74 runs, 19 doubles, 4 triples, 27 home runs, 62 ribbies, 7 stolen bases, and batted .262. In 2021, he batted .302. So I think it was just a down year. Maybe he wasn't happy because he does kind of want the trade. He's been kind of vocal about that. But let me get back to on point about this. Like, where is his fantasy outlook going to be, right? So you see the 74 that I mentioned runs and the 62 ribs. Like in 2021, he did manage to get 93 and 90, which is really nice. But I don't foresee that again. Like, there's just not enough people in that lineup for me to really like feel good about drafting him high as he's going right now. Until that gets fixed, I'm good. This pick of, where is he going right now? Just so I can say, he's going as pick 85 overall, which isn't atrocious, but the 21st outfielder off the board. There's a couple guys after him clearly that I would pick. Where it just would be a little bit more productive in all 5 categories, or at least 4 out of the 5. Yes, I can. Welcome back, sir.
Sorry about the technical difficulties, folks.
It's all good. Don't let it happen again.
Yes, understood.
But yeah, I think I've talked enough, Tom. I think you're up.
Let me jump back to Corbin Carroll for a second, if that's okay with you and the folks.
No.
Corbin Carroll actually has gotten really hot here towards the end of spring training. He's 8 games, 22 at bats, 8 runs, 7 hits, 2 doubles, a triple. No bomb skis yet, but he's also got 2 RBIs and 2 steals. He's hitting .318, 7 walks to 3 strikeouts. You love to see that. Corbin Carroll, I have him at 22 at outfield, but I'm going to be moving him up. He'll be in my top 20 by the time, things come around. But Matt, I think let's get to some quick hits here before we head out. Let's let the folks know about some of the guys that are going a little bit later that we're, targeting. And once again, guys, if you've watched any of our mock draft episodes, you know that we love a little Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant's coming off the board as number 30 outfielder, pick 121. I currently have Chris Bryant as my number 15 outfielder. So I absolutely love him. 15 spots ahead of where he's, ADP has him. He apparently is dealing with a little issue. The word isn't out yet on what that issue officially is. I know last year he dealt with the plantar fascia and the back issues, so it could be that again. If it is that, I'll probably move him down a little bit. He's been raking so far in spring training though. 8 games, 18 at bats, 5 runs, 5 hits, a double, 3 homers, 4 RBIs, and he's hitting 278. And real quick, last year he played great when he was healthy. 42 games, 160 at bats. He had 28 runs, 5 bombs, 14 RBIs, and he hit 306. Full year of Chris Bryant and Coors could be absolutely, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I just hope we get to see it. I mean, I'm really hoping that like last year was an outlier. Nice. This could be a minor setback that could be nothing and be a couple days, and that's what I'm really praying for, because if all those mock drafts we had were real leagues, we'd be screwed. But let me talk about somebody else I really like, and somebody I've been rising on, funny enough, and that's Mr. Anthony Santander Bank.
I
so
like that.
It's funny. I was chatting back and forth with a fan on Twitter, and he was asking me, I want to trade for Kyle Schwarber. And Kyle Schwarber is funny. If you look at Anthony's stats, Mr. Bank, what do you call it? Stats right next to Schwarber, they're pretty similar. The only difference is Schwarber just had a better team last year, and he had a lot of runs and ribbies in comparison. I think it was like a 20 apiece in each category, right? But now Baltimore is getting all their young studs up, and I think they're going to take a step forward as a team. So I think that Santander may not be Schwarber himself, but he'll really be like a Schwarber light. And where he's going right now at outfielder 28, I think that's a great value on him, because you know what? If you can get Schwarber light, where he hits the 258 and he gets the 30 to 35 home runs, and if he gets you about like 90 in the runs and ribbies category, you're pretty much really happy with that output. And that's not going to be too much different from what you're getting from Kyle Schwarber. So, yeah.
Yeah, Matt, I like the Anthony Santander rant. Did you mention where you have him ranked?
So at today I have him at 24. Funny enough, I really raised him. He was down at
wow.
Yeah, he was down. He was down on my records probably about like 30, 31. And then I just, like after talking to him, and he made me really do a deep dive to really give him the advice. And I'm like, man, like, he could legit be a light Schwarber, and I'd feel very comfortable with him in my lineup versus like Bryan Reynolds that I was talking about just before, where like, his upside for the bank would be a lot better than Bryan Reynolds.
Yeah. Well, ADP has him I have him ranked at 35. ADP has him at 28, pick 118. If you can get him as your number 3 outfielder, I think that's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
I do have someone else I'd like to rant about here for a second. And you want to talk about a fan interaction? I kind of saw this comment and it made me laugh very hard. So as you know, if you're a fan, if not, you're gonna know now. Vinny P, we refer to him as the Italian breakfast. That's Vinny Pasquantino. I saw somebody refer to this guy as the Mexican breakfast, and I lost it.
Great.
I lost it, and this is Joey Meneses. I lost it. I thought that was a great nickname. We're gonna start calling Joey Meneses the Mexican breakfast. Thank you for that nickname for him. He is absolutely killing it in the WBC right now. He had 2 home runs the other day in 1 game. I know he's a little bit older, at 30 years old, and the team isn't great, but the value is there for Meneses right now. Right now, Meneses is coming off the board. I believe it was the 51st outfielder. He also has eligibility at first base, which is a very tough position, right now. 206 for the Mexican breakfast, Joey Meneses. I currently have Joey Meneses as my number 40 outfielder, so I like him about 11 spots over ADP. Let me just read off what he did last year. As a 30-year-old, so he's a little bit older, not really a dynasty guy, more of a redraft guy. 56 games, 222 at-bats, 33 runs, 14 doubles, 13 bombs, 34 RBIs, chipped in a steal, and he hit 324. Now, I think Meneses could be more of like a 280 guy, got a good amount of pop. He could hit you 25 bombs, runs and RBIs, might not be fantastic in the Nationals lineup. But hey, if you can get him at pick 200, 206, I think that's absolutely great.
Yeah, buddy. You pretty much killed it there. The Mexican breakfast.
Love that.
Maybe we change it to the breakfast burrito.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
You know, I'm digging that nickname. That's it. Stick. Put in the book. But I got one last person here, and let's talk about Kelenic, right? Jared Kelenic. Yeah. It's a weird thing, right? Like, I don't know what it's been like with these bigger prospects over the last couple of years, where like the first 2 years are kind of light, or in his case, absolutely horrific. And then the third year they come in and they really figure it out. I hope this is the trend that continues. Right now in spring training, I'm really blown away because, to be completely honest, I'm not sure if this is fool's gold or not. Like, if I'm really like trying to be analytic about it. But let's read off what he's doing so far. And in 23 at bats, he has six. He's killing it. 6 runs, 10 hits, a double, a triple, 4 home runs, 8 ribbies, a stolen base, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Batting average of 435, a slug of, and normally I don't read these, but they are worth highlighting. A slug of 1087 and an OPS of 1567. So like what he's doing right now is unreal. And the guy has all the talent, because at one point he was like the number 1 or number 2 prospect in all of baseball. And let's read the last time he was in there. Well, let's read 2019, the full season, right? He's good when he was in the minors. 443 at bats, 80 runs, 31 doubles, 5 triples, 23 home runs, 68 ribbies, 20 stolen bases, and batted 291. Now, if we can get this kind of production out of this kid, you know, and he could finally figure it out this season, or at least start to trend that way, he's worth it. And you know what? He's free 99 this year. I think he's being drafted as like 300 and change. So, you know, last pick of the draft,
moving up.
He's going to be moving up. Like, by the time, maybe not this draft weekend, but the big draft weekend next weekend, that's the weekend where you might see him start creeping into, like, you know, your first or second or third bench pick. That's kind of where I foresee him if he keeps this pace up. And God, if he does, there's a lot of benefit, not just for him, but the whole Seattle team. And, you know, that could take them to a whole nother level and really take Julio to another level. And there's just benefits all around. So, you know, keep your eye on Kelenic. And to be honest, right now, if you're drafting this weekend, scoop him up as your last pick.
Yeah, Matt, what did you say? What you have him ranked, brother?
I have him buried right now at 58.
Okay. That's not bad.
It's going to come up if it keeps going in this direction. It's just a matter of, like, I'm not going to be like this, like, oh my God, the hype's real, and oh my God, he's figuring it out. I'm going to take a conservative approach on this and be realistic about it. And if somebody else wants to jump the gun and, you know, really take him down, like, yo, that's on you, bro. Congratulations if it works out. But, like, I'm good. I'm not going to, you know, blow my load on it and then miss out on like a Von Grissom or a Anthony Rendon that's going around it like my first or second bench player.
Yeah, so with Mr. Jared from Subway, Kelenic, he's coming off the board as the 62 outfielder, pick 265 overall. I have him at 50. I moved him up to 50. I think that's the spot for him right now until we see more. I just wanted to point this out. You know, he was horrid last year, horrid. But he played 86 games in the minors last year, and he was really good. 86 games, 352 at-bats, 58 runs, 32 doubles, 3 triples, 18 bombs, 65 RBIs, 9 steals, and he had 295. And that was, Jared Kelenics numbers in the minors last year. So it's still there. And we forget. Everyone thinks this kid, he's 25. No, he's not. He's going to be 23 this year. The sky is still the limit for the kid. As Matt made a perfect point, I'm not jumping the gun and nabbing him at pick 150. But around pick 200, the end of your draft, you start thinking, okay, now is the time to get him before somebody else does, because he's going to be flying up draft boards.
Yeah, you know what? I just realized I was calling him Kelenic and not Kelnic. Bro, I butchered that name. Why didn't you get me, bro? All right. I said it like 15 times.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I let you do it. Sometimes I just let you go for it.
Thanks, bro. You're a real good friend, let me tell you. Yeah, I just go myself, family-friendly show.
It's all right. It's all right, brother.
You want to wrap this thing up, boy?
Yeah, man. Guys, that's going to be all for today. So please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Check out our website if you already haven't. Our rankings are there. What you're going to need for this upcoming weekend and the weekend after. Also, you got access to all of our podcasts there, a little bit about us. Also, thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. And why don't you make Locked On Padres your second listen each and every day? Javier is a great host. We were on his podcast. It's going to be coming out over the next few days, so be on the lookout for that. That's Locked On Padres. And guys, we're going to be coming back with our starting pitcher ranking starting tomorrow, and that is Matt and I's expertise, so that you are not going to want to miss at all. But guys, until next time, see you.
Peace.